What's good, traders? Darnell Pryce here. It's the weekend. You know what that means. It's time for another market recap and forecast. Market's been super exciting lately. We had that one little week of consolidation doing contract rollover on NQ, but other than that, it's been straight to the downside. Where we sit right now, I promise you, we're sitting on the edge, hanging on by a thread. If you check the caption on this video, gold blasting off in the all-time highs. We've been waiting on that though. We've been locked in. We've been trading. Where we go here? Where we going from here? Sit back, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and comment your views below in the comment section, and let's lock in. Let's get in these charts and let's see what opportunities we got coming up for the next week. Because I promise you, it's gonna be a banger. So jumping right into it, we're gonna start with the eco news, the economic news, to go ahead and build a little context, right? No news Monday. We come in on Tuesday. We have PMI, industrial manufacturing. We have JOLTS. This is starting to crank it up a little bit, right? We're getting unemployment numbers, the preliminaries, right? We get in the ADP, a few more employment numbers, right? We want to know what the Fed's stance is on their dual mandate as far as, the next rate decision, right? We come in on Thursday, unemployment claims, more PMI, right? This is the PMI and the unemployment. Well, this is the PMI that will be most important, other than the one that was on Tuesday. All right, then we get into Friday, big news right here, NFP week, non-farm payrolls, immediately followed by on the 4th, Jay Powell speaking. So I believe that of all the days of the week, Friday will be the most impactful, right? Whether we have already sold off and maybe something happens on Friday to where we get a reversal, right? Possibly. Or, we, just dick around a little bit on the first half of the week and slowly start to progress to the downward direction on the end of the week. Regardless, again, staying objective, trying to keep my bias out of it. No news Monday, followed by, it progressively starts heating up going into the back half of the week. All right. Other than that, I think on the 2nd, it's not listed here, but we do get the first tranche of China tariffs. So, the Trump tariffs, they should kick in effect officially, on the 2nd, and we should be feeling those impacts again. Not feeling the impacts, but stepping into the reality of the tariffs by the 4th, right? So this week coming up, don't let, this calendar looking somewhat normal and not too dissimilar from, previous weeks and NFPs. Don't let that jade your perspective. This week is very impactful. And speaking of such, let's get right into that and look at the Nasdaq. Start with Nasdaq momentum. All right, so starting with the monthly chart, being that the next time you hear from a weekend video, it'll be a new month, right? We have one more date in this month, the 31st. So we're gonna start at the monthly chart. This candle, by the time the monthly candle ends, will be either a little bit bigger to the downside or may have a little wick on it if we show any signs of bounce. But just as it stands right now, incredibly bearish monthly candle, right? We still have room to the downside and could still come up a little bit, like I say, on that Friday and print a wick. Regardless, the sell-off is in effect, right? We have these relatively equal lows. If you remember from a couple videos ago, where I said this is, my objective for the downside move to come here. We'll take a closer look on the weekly chart. But while that's my objective, it's not to say that we can't go lower. I had an extreme target way down here, around 17K, being that that's the only moving average structure I have on the monthly. So we'll keep that in a back pocket, as a back pocket idea that in time, whether it takes a few months, whether it happens next month, whenever it happens, we do have support down here at the high 1600s, low 17s, right? Going down to the weekly chart, momentum wise, is broken. This week we did come up here early on in the week. We had a gap up off of the previous week's close, right? We gapped up a bit, we rallied a bit. We closed that gap in between the weekly candle, which would be what, 3 weeks ago. We closed that gap, putting a wick there, but we rejected that gap, came down, and we're getting crossovers that would suggest momentum is waning and starting to wax to the downside, right? We close, you can't see it here on this weekly chart, but as we get intraday on the price action and you look at the last few ticks of before the candles terminated printing, stop printing, you'll see we closed dead on the lows, right? Like this wick right here on the weekly is kind of misleading. Let's drop down to the daily, but before we do, let's just look at everything from a weekly perspective. Support. So you do have, as far as momentum support, you do have this little region here, right, that sits between 18.6 and 18.4. So let's just call it somewhere around 18.5, like 18.550s. I'll put an alarm there too. That's the first level, like 18.8. We'll just call it 18.536, right? We'll put a little alarm there, so you know if we get down there, there will be some support, and you can see it from the past if you extrapolate to the left. If we go down and just cover that little area, it also matches with prior support from the past, maybe the beginning of that support. So as we approach that level, we could wick below it, maybe coming down as low as 1800 even, right? So this, I really would just like to bring attention to just this level, this range of 18.6 to 1800, right? Really 18.5. The lower 1800s, we'll call it. And when we get to the levels chart, we'll go ahead and document that as well. Let's go ahead and get down to the daily chart and see what we can see there. Again, momentum wise, we have broken down. We're sitting, you know, at the lowest lows that we have seen since September of last year. Before that, it would be August, right? So, you know, we've had a steady sell-off. On the daily, if we looked at the trend count, I expected a bit more on the swing count to have a lower high. You know, maybe we could get a little higher. However, that did not come true. We didn't even get to test a lot of the significant moving averages. We just rejected, you know, the zone of those averages, and they've started curling down and following price. And like I say, we're sitting on the edge. We're hanging on by a thread. We have our 18.500 down there. That will be support. You know, a little bit before that, we have 18.900, right? So between 9 and 5, we'll get our first levels of support. If we break 5, we could come on down here to 18K. Right, let's keep walking down the time frames. We'll stop by the 4 hour. Immediately just off site, I would say the 4 hour has a chance to bounce here, starting on the Sunday session. If it wants to bounce, we need to bounce soon, right? If we have any gap lowers and find any consolidation below 1900, it's a quick trip down to the 19.5s, right? So again, with the no news Monday, if we could put in some type of upward motion, I don't know, this is a pretty precipitous sell-off and it could just keep going. The 4 hour, I'd like to call this neutral, but in context with Friday's price action, if it's gonna be neutral, then immediately on Sunday's Globex section before Monday, we need to start putting in, you know, I know there's not a lot of volume traded during that session and a lot of people don't take it serious. But for candle structure, you know, those candles still print and they add to the grand scheme of things when you look at the chart. Globex needs to have some type, not even really sideways. Sideways would be bearish. We need some type of bounce to retrace some of Friday's downside price action just to stay neutral. Like it's not really a neutral case, it's just a less bearish case, right? You don't really start getting neutral until you get above 19,980 and 20,300. That would be neutral. Anything below that would just be a 4-hour lower high to short into, right? Above 20,300, 20,400, that's where you start getting bearish. And like I say, I would stay neutral in a little pocket in this zone here. I would be neutral in this zone, bearish on any lower highs under it, you know, tagging this consolidation, finding it as resistance and retracing. Extremely bearish if we just sell off. If we have a gap lower and we get anywhere below 19K, believe me, I'm hitting that short button hardest. You know, I'll be on that short button. Above 20,300, 20,400, there will be some rooms for some longs getting up to the 20,800s, 20,700, 20,770s and 800s, right? Apologize for the yawning. Take a look at the 1 hour. It just really doesn't look good at all, right? When I'm looking at this, I'm seeing a precipitous sell-off. We need to get above 19,500 as soon as possible, right? But the configuration of the moving averages is telling me that as things stand right now, to look for a sell-off. You don't want to see any consolidation below 19.5. You want to get above it, and you want to start getting, you know, going sideways to higher and getting above this braid of moving averages so that we could start waxing with momentum. That would be necessary for the bull case. I don't see that happening. We normally don't go down this low, but let's look at the 15-minute just to see what momentum was looking like on the close. And again, we got crossovers that are significant. We're selling off, and it just really doesn't look that good, right? Let's go ahead and go from here and bring up the levels. These are the levels that I was trading last week. We'll start on the weekly on them. I think once you get to, well, I don't know, can we go to the monthly without it being okay? Yeah, so we have the prior all-time high. We have my objective down here around 1800 even, right? And we have the Rubicon around 19045. Like I was saying, if we get below 19K, I mean, it's a straight line down, right, to 18.5, 18.1, the 18.100s to 18.500s, right? If we could bounce right here and retrace some of Friday's price action, let's drop down to a weekly, maybe even a daily, right? Let's go on down to a 4-hour and blow the chart up some. So on Sunday's open, if we have any gap lowers that fails 1900, I'm sorry, this market is cooked. The best thing that we could do is try to stay in the upper half of above this purple line. Anywhere below where we close, things get very bearish real quick. I can't understate that enough. I can't overstate that enough. Things get very bearish if we remain below Friday's close, right? Consolidating lower, any of that. The most bullish thing that we could do, most neutral to bullish thing we could do is on Sunday's Globex Open. I think basically we have a no news Monday. Apologize about that. So let's keep things in context. Let's try to remain objective. We have a no news Monday, but Pryce is precariously placed where it is. I think watching Sundays and Mondays Pryce action, being nimble, will be very important coming into the beginning of the week. And that's it's pretty much an over under at this point. Like we're either over 19,363, and I'm probably not taking the longs until we get above 20,100, or we're below 19,364, 363, this purple line, and I'm trying to, find me a short entry for a sell-off lower, or we gap lower anywhere below 19, let's call it 400, and I'm trying to find a entry for a continuation short much lower to the 18.5s, maybe even, like I said, we got extreme targets down in the 1700s. There's below 19K. There's a god awful possible drop below that. It's not much. If we just scrunch the chart up and look, we could have some steep sell-offs. They did recover in the past, but everything below, what level is this again? Everything below 19K, it pretty much shoots straight down to 18K, right? Like 1,000-point sell-off. So just be mindful of that. I know I kind of sound a bit doomsday-ish, and this isn't really even a doomsday scenario. This is just a continuation of a downtrend that we've started since the all-time highs since February of this year. So it's bad, but the thing is what I really just want to understate, or what I really just want to state, period, no prefixes needed, is that there's a lot of opportunity from this area if we want to continue lower. And if you get you a good entry, you may not have to do too much trading. You may just be able to sit in a trade, right? We've had the consolidation, we've had the manipulation, and we're at the bottom of that consolidation. If we break down from here, it could be very profitable, right? If we find support here and bounce, even that bounce could be profitable. I may take it up to 19.7s. That's still a good decent chunk of change from 19,375 to 19.7. That's almost 400 points, 1,600 ticks. That's still a decent ride to the north side. But considering what the momentum is looking like, considering what Friday's close is looking like, considering what the economic calendar is looking like, considering what macro events concerning tariffs are looking like, considering what previous eco numbers from last week are looking like, I'm not in the camp of a rally from here. I mean, give me a bull case. Go down to the comments if you're watching this. If you made it this far in my video, I noticed that my stats say a lot of people don't even make it past the first few minutes. If you one of the soldiers, you made it through, you really rock with momentum movers, you made it this far, tell me something bullish. Give me a bullish take on these markets, something that could maybe fix my bias to the downside. I'm not seeing it. I think we have a lot lower to go, and I think we're hanging on by a thread from right here where we are. But enough on that. Let's take a look at gold. We'll go to the momentum charts. I don't think I have any levels on gold right now. I haven't really been trading it, haven't been looking at it. We'll just look at the momentum on gold, and we'll probably wrap it up there. Starting on the monthly time frame, of course, being that, like I say, this is the start of a new month. This is insanely bullish. Like, gold could just keep golden. Like, gold is really golden, and it's gonna keep golden. That's really what I get out of this chart on the monthly time frame. After we broke that exhaustion wick high, we could see something like 2000. Where would it be? We may have a pullback on the multi-month time frame, but 2009, something like that. 2010, we have some room to go to the upside on gold on the monthly chart. Same on the weekly. I mean, we are a bit extended, but these moving averages are still expanding. They're still stretching away from each other, and it could still go higher. We could still go higher. Let me see if I can find a occurrence in the past. It's I've seen this before. Just put it like that, where even though this is forming a sell setup, until it gets this it could go higher. According to my strategy, it's no time to short gold. Even when we get down to the 4 hour, I was looking at that earlier. The 4 hour is just now starting to break out, right? That's extremely bullish. Gold is bullish. That 1 hour, I would, if you can't find a short on NQ or a trade in general on NQ, Sunday or Monday, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a long on gold. Right, the way gold is looking right here on the hourly chart, the gold long is, if we start making new all-time highs on gold, don't fight it. That's pretty much what it, like 1, 2, 3, 4 is the all-time high. That's probably a countdown for a blast off, right? Like if we break 1, 2, 3, 4, it's probably gonna go to 5. Put it like that. It's gonna keep going. Gold is golden, and it's gonna keep golden until it ain't golden no more, and gold will forever be gold, right? At least in the near term, gold is golden. Don't jump in front of that train. All right. I think that about wraps it up. Like I said before, I don't really have any levels on gold. I'll look at those. I'll have those ready for the weekend video. I mean, we're at all-time highs, right? Like, you could draw a parabola on gold and see that it's like in a parabolic uptrend, maybe. We can do something like that, maybe. Let's see here, because I do see one. Gold is, what would that parabolic uptrend look like? Something like this, pretty much. Gold is golden. Yeah, touch. As long as gold is riding this parabola, don't get caught short. That's what it amounts to. It can keep going. It's, if it pulls down to the parabola, find a long, right? If we get a nice sell-off in gold, and you see gold anywhere below 3,100, you might have an opportunity to find a long for a new all-time high. But if it just keeps going, then you just got to find you a place to get in. And like I say, for me, it'll probably be on the, I might take the breakout trade, the 3, 2, 1 break off, blast off. But in any case, I think we're going to wrap it up there. We could talk about crypto, maybe. We could talk about the dollar, the Dixie. But I'm, like I say, it's a lot, leave in the comments if you're watching my videos and you'd like for me to cover more. If not, we'll just keep it at the basics. Because like I say, I'm finding when I look at my statistics that a lot of people are, they're closing off the stream early. I don't want to bore you to death. I can yap about, price action, technical analysis in these markets. I could go on forever, but if nobody's watching it, like I say, I'd like to put out content that wants to be seen. And maybe I might retract some of those statements, because I'm also doing this, the main purpose the reason I started this journey was to document my journey into getting rich in trading, to be honest, and we're doing pretty decent. I got my XFA. We put in a decent solid day in it, and I plan on getting some more combines passed with the new Top Step dashboard. They got that new instant funded feature. So we're gonna play around with it starting next week. We might buy a few more combines. We might see if we can copy trade them. We might see if we could take advantage of some of this weekly downside action that we have here, because this is amazing. Like, this is one hell of a chart. I don't care, this weekly chart is insanely opportunistic. Like, I cannot overstate that enough. Just even getting down here to the equal highs, I have to trade with it. I have to be here Sunday. I know it's a no news Monday, but we're just gonna see how that price action is. I think I have to work. I might be in the truck Monday, but when I come in Tuesday, I'm gonna trade Sunday, and and I'm gonna trade as much of Monday as I can. I'll definitely be here Tuesday through Friday because there's no way I'm gonna miss this week. If you don't ever watch any video and get any sentiment out of any video I've made, just know that this week will be exciting. And I think it'll be exciting for the bear case. I'm extremely bearish. You know, there is a chance. So you're saying there's a chance. Yes, there is a chance that we could rally. But I'm telling you, it doesn't look likely. It doesn't look likely at all. It's extremely bearish. Hope the best you could hope for is sideways chop in this, you know, between these purple and green EMAs. But if we break Friday's low, you just get short, right? All right, I'm gonna wrap it up there. All right, so for those who couldn't sit through the whole video, here's a little TLDR. The economic calendar. No news Monday. News progressively warms up to a crescendo on Friday, where we have NFP and Powell speaking in the afternoon after that. Well, not even afternoon, like a little bit right after that, around 10:30 Central Standard Time. We got the markets on the cliff, even though it's no news Monday. Still watch this over-under level that I'm gonna put right here. Right over it, I would say somewhat bullish, maybe. It's not even bullish, it's just neutral. It doesn't get bullish until we go way higher, considering that we've already had our lower high. Once we break Friday's low, we're starting to hunt for where the lower low is going to end, right? Like the trend count is insanely bearish. We need to hold Friday's low for the NQ to just not sell off, right? Gold, you know, extremely bullish. For everything that NQ is bearish, gold is bullish, right? That's the TLDR. But just the main thing, watch Friday's low and keep your head on the swivel and make some of this money. You know what I'm saying? I hope you got you a funded account. I hope you got you a live account, because this week, if you don't take nothing else from this video, this week may be one of the weeks to, you know what I'm saying, bring home the bacon. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and comment in the comments. How do you feel about this market? Keep me out of echo chamber, because I tend to see things and then reinforce my own thoughts with my own thoughts. If you have anything to sway my bias, let me know. What am I missing? Why should I be bullish? Let me know. You know what I'm saying? I love challenging my bias. I don't mind hearing things that don't go with, you know, the way I feel. You know, even if it don't fit my strategy, if you're not looking at moving averages, if you see a fair value gap, or if you use any of that stuff, you know, I'm not an ICT trader, but hey, I respect technical analysis in all forms, right? Challenge my bias. If you agree with me, let me know why. Maybe you're looking at it from a different perspective. Maybe you can increase my confidence in my plays next week. Whatever it is, if you got something to say, jump in the comments. I'll respond. I appreciate all feedback. Hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, and catch you on the next time. Trade well, trade smart, trade on. Darnell, Pryce out.